Might as well just keep your television just glued to Channel 4 today, because you'll catch Dr. Phil, of course, at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Tomorrow, he kicks off a 3-part series about serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. We're very excited to have Dr. Phil on the show with us this morning to tell us more. Dr. Phil, how are you, sir?
I'm well, Kent. Good to talk to you.
And you too. You talk exclusively in this 3-part series with the sister of a Dahmer victim, Rita Isabel. What did she tell you about coming face to face with him in the courtroom years ago?
Well, Ken, I'll tell you, she won't even refer to him by name. She calls him Satan. And the footage of her in that courtroom trying to get at him is very moving and shows how much pain is created by what this man did. And it's still very raw for her. She was very traumatized by the Netflix series, which she believes kind of glamorized and didn't try and excuse, but tried to contextualize and create empathy for Jeffrey Dahmer. And she wanted to come here and talk about the real story, the real acts of this individual and what it does and how it leaves the survivors. And she was very inspirational in the things that she had to say. But it shows that this really did traumatize people, this series. And the people that came on with me came on because they wanted to set the record straight. I also talked to 2 men who had been victimized by Jeffrey Dahmer and survived, Preston Davis and Billy Capshaw. And Billy, for example, Kent, when I talked to him, he just immediately starts shaking. He's just traumatized so much. And he was stabbed 30 times by Jeffrey Dahmer. He was raped. He had broken bones. He reported it and it was buried. I mean, there's so much frustration by these people. And they're saying that this wasn't a nice guy that was gone wrong. This was a vicious, sadistic, torturous killer. And here are 2 men, Preston and Billy, that survived that to talk about it and give us a view of who this man really was.
So I got to tell you, I'm going to be very honest with you. I watched that program and I didn't want to tell anybody. It made me feel bad for wanting to watch it, and yet I did anyway. What is this fascination that we have? Well, how does that work?
Well, Kent, I think the dark side of human nature is there, and people are curious about it, and I think that's normal. I think it's even healthy to acknowledge that there is that dark side on the continuum of human behavior, human nature, and by acknowledging it, by educating yourself about it, you can at least not be naive when you go out into the world. These people don't have horns and a tail. They walk among us and they look just like everybody else. And I think people that watch this think, okay, I get it. I get that people can get really dark and can really create pain in people's lives. So I'm going to watch people with an awareness that everybody's not what they seem. And if something seems out of kilter, it probably is out of kilter. And I'm going to keep my guard up when I see that. I don't think it's a bad thing unless you get so fascinated and absorbed by it that you either A, become paranoid, or B, get sucked into the personality. His glasses just sold for $150,000.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the kind of behavior I'm talking about. Dr. Phil, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time to share that with us. And you can watch this episode of Dr. Phil right here on KMOV at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon.
It starts tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
You bet.